How many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
They want to eliminate what they call the deep state. The deep state is a cadre of professionals dedicated to honoring the Constitution, the laws of this country, and carrying out the policies of the Congress and the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President.
All right, all you preppers, patriots, veterans, sportsmen, and Americans in general. You know if you're a true American. Folks, if you don't like the red, white, and blue, you ain't an American. If you think the Confederate flag is a sign of evil, you're not a thinking American. You're not paying attention. You're subject to propaganda. Anyways, ouch. Everyone remembers how fun partying is until after the party, and you pay the price. And last night on the zoo, we had quite a bit of fun with what is going on in the world. And folks, there's a lot going on in the world. We got a lot to talk about today. We've got just a little bit of time. And let's start out with this. I do have something. This is a beautiful top story. Top story, ABC network still has news. Who knew? President Kim Godwin is now out. Folks, I didn't know that ABC did news for their company anymore. I thought that was a fine top story. Yep, they can't get it right. They can't figure it out. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know how to get your attention. They don't know how to convince you, trick you, bend your mind around what they want, folks. It is one hell of an SHTF week. Uman has topics. If you've got topics, get them in the questions down below. And you're probably wondering, if you're not a member, let me explain this. You can be here Monday through Friday. All you've got to do is go through the Prepared Mind .club, CLUB, and sign up for our premium service there, and you can be here live, or you don't have to be here live. You'll just get everything when you're ready. You get done with work, you get done with dinner, you're ready to get news not 12, 24, or 36 hours later than everyone else. Actually, you know what? I don't even think that's right. We get news stories here 24 hours before it hits mainstream media, or before other internet channels and YouTube channels get it out there. If you're live, you get it instantly. But if you're not live on YouTube, yeah, you get stuff fresh. It's still fresh, but not as much and not as quick as you guys who are here on a daily basis. I want to thank you who are here for supporting the channel. But if you want to be here live every day, you can. And we can share stories like this. It seems to me that Russia may have just set the bounty hunters loose on Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. That's right. The Russian Interior Ministry has opened an investigation, a criminal investigation against President Zelensky, and he is now on a wanted list. I found this fascinating. Remember, folks, we live in America. And when we start thinking about Canada, we're like, it's kind of like America. Australia, kind of like America. Then you get over to England and you're like, well, we're really getting a little different. Once you go to Europe, you're like, that's a whole nother world, really. Different languages. They got crazed ass terrorists everywhere. And once you get all the way to Eastern Europe and Russia, folks, it's off the hook. Now, yeah, this, of course, Mr. Putin of Russia. Mr. Putin, he does. He has war criminal and he can't go anywhere. And there's an arrest warrant out from the World Court for him. Do you think he really gives a shit what Brussels thinks of him? But I would say that Zelensky should really give a shit if Russia has him on a wanted list. He now, Zelensky, stands to lose, I believe, billions of dollars in personal wealth. It's estimated the little bastard has stolen, confiscated, awarded to himself over $1 billion in value. Real estate, boats, cash, etc. It is one of the filthiest, most disgusting countries on the planet, Ukraine, for corruption, theft, bribery, graft, extortion, etc. But I find this fascinating. Well, Putin doesn't give a shit what the world thinks about him. But Zelensky, on the other hand, is way over here next to Russia. Could bounty hunters go after his little head? Time will tell, folks. Time will tell. All right. We've got a lot to talk about. Get your questions down below. It has been one hell of a start to the week. Things are already looking a little screwy. Whatever you want to talk about, get down after the after the monologue. We'll get to your questions. This is pretty interesting. Speaking of arrest warrant, there's Republican senators are now warning, this is interesting, that the International Criminal Court, the ICC, and there is a Netanyahu arrest warrant. That's right. Well, you got an arrest warrant for Putin. Now they have an arrest warrant for King Bibi, Netanyahu. And Netanyahu has this to say: target Israel and we will target you. You have been warned. That's right, folks. It's getting a little bit crazy. Now, the ICC, International Criminal Court, they have a chief prosecutor named Karim Khan, and he claims he has authority. Now, Karim Khan does not sound like he's Jewish or European or American. He sounds kind of like he might be of Middle Eastern descent from that area of the world. So to me, it sounds kind of like everyone's picking sides, folks. Everyone is picking sides. I find it fascinating. I don't mind that the ICC has a warrant out for Putin, a warrant out for Netanyahu, but it fascinates me to no end that they do not have a warrant out for Zelensky, who I consider to be a massive criminal, and a charlatan, and a carpetbagger, and just a general piece of crap. One hell of a lot of trouble, folks, going on right now in the world. We're in the fight for our lives. I was at work today, and I had a subcontractor show up, and he happens to be 40 to 45 years old and a Cuban exile American patriot. And he let me know, he said, hey, we got talking and the word communism came up. And folks, the Cubans down in Florida are probably some of the most, shall we say, aggressive pro-Americans that you'll ever meet. They are willing. They're willing to go to battle next to me and you to fight communists and Antifa and invaders and usurpers, etc. I brought up the illegals that are here that have no skills and don't want to work. And if you ever thought you'd see a brown man turn bright red, I saw it. Incredible. Understand who your allies are, folks. as things get nastier and things get worse, right? We're going to have a revolution in this country. And while I'm not calling for revolution, people really are. In the state of Missouri, Republicans, conservatives, libertarians basically have had their own Republican revolution. They basically overthrown the rhino establishment's control of the GOP party. Folks, you and me, the people of America in our individual states, we have the power, not them. They want to convince me and you that they have power of the party, power over politics. They truly don't. And we have the opportunity to get active in this fight before the next fight requires bullets, or, as my new political ally said, machetes. He says they're quieter, John, and they get the job done. In any event, I found that fascinating, that we have allies that understand what a corrupt government's all about. And he said to me, he goes, look, every time you look to the top, if the leadership, and this is interesting coming from, again, a Cuban exile who loves America, who said when he got here 25 years ago, he would have never imagined we'd be doing the things we're doing, well, the country, the government, and that we would have all of this turmoil here. He says, how can they not see how stupid and crooked and corrupt this is? He goes, but once you see the elites at the top in D.C., at the state level even, once you see that they live like kings, they reward themselves financially, and they think they're above the law, when you've got that, you have tyranny, absolute tyranny. And especially coming from a babbling idiot who shakes hands with invisible people. I'm talking about Biden. And saying Biden has dementia is an insult to dementia patients, right? And so this dementia-ridden idiot who is the president, an elite who thinks he's above everything else, has called Japan xenophobic, along with India, China, and Russia. He just attacked India, China, Russia, and Japan, saying they're xenophobic, meaning they're afraid of everything. Folks, there's a difference between phobia and knowing the difference between right and wrong. I am not xenophobic. I am not Islamophobic. I'm not homophobic. I know what they are, what they stand for, what they want to do, and how fucking evil they are. That's all there is to it. And Joe Biden is an asshole. Now, how much more do you think Japan is going to take from this so-called leader of the United States of America? He has economically insulted the shit out of them and threatened them. He has socially threatened them and castigated them. I'm not going to be surprised, folks. I know that Japan doesn't love China a whole lot. But I also know India does not love China a whole lot. It wouldn't surprise me if Japan's like, you know what? Fuck the West, right? We would rather do business with China and Russia and India and other countries that respect our cultural boundaries, our political boundaries, our economic boundaries, that we can do business on an even thing. See, that's where we're going here. If you and I, me and you, us American people are getting beaten on by a government that hates us and wants to put us down, that tells us we're wrong and we don't get it monetarily, financially, socially, economically, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We don't get it. We don't understand. I find that fascinating, don't you? That they want to tell us how bad we are when we look at them and go, you guys are fucked up. What do you think other countries are looking at the United States government as? A bunch of corrupt idiots who want to punish them, Janet Yellen, Joe Biden, etc., punish them financially, sanction the shit out of them, confiscate their wealth after freezing assets. The rest of the world's going to be like, you know what? We're not buying your shit anymore. We're not buying your bullshit, and we're not buying your bonds either. Who is going to support this government, folks? If you think I'm going to line up and I'm going to buy U.S. bonds, you're out of your fucking mind. Ain't happening. Ain't happening. Wow. And by the way, Michelle Obama is continuing to circle like a shark the water beneath Mr. Brain Dead Biden. I think they're going to try pulling the trigger and putting her up for the election. It's looking more like it. I think she's an absolute awful fucking candidate. She has no political experience. She can't think for herself in front of a camera. Everything's got to be scripted. She's not really likable. And when she gets mad, she looks like Chewbacca. All right. Where do we go from here? Seriously, where do we go from here? Craziness. Well, as usual, I want to make sure everyone understands, right? We still have problems with the Jim Jones juice. All right, folks. NBA player Darius Morris. Have you ever heard of him? No, I haven't. But he is a former NBA player, which means you've got to be damn good to play at that level. You're a super athlete. Guess what happened to him? He's dead. Age 33, dead. I'm sure he probably was, now that he's passed away, was still in good physical condition. Just take a wild guess. Well, cause of death, we don't know. I don't know. We don't know. Could it be? I'll leave it up to you to think about it. Just think about it, folks. Are we done with that nonsense? No, we're not. We are not done with it. And this really... Calm down, John. Calm down. Okay. I was going to bring this up. Wasn't sure how to bring this up. We got a big problem in Niger, Africa. We got a big problem in Washington, D.C. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's over 1,000 U.S. servicemen, soldiers. They're being held hostage in Niger. They're trapped. Biden hasn't gotten them out. Over 1,000 troops fucked up and trapped inside there. I mean, he managed to doing a great job of just abandoning ship in Afghanistan. Somehow he's managed to abandon 1,000 soldiers. Now, Republican Representative Matt Gaetz, who I hope runs for Florida governor after DeSantis's terms are up, he's brought it to everyone's attention. He says they're functionally being held hostage. It doesn't have to be that way. It truly doesn't. The Biden administration, the Democrats, Washington, D.C., has completely screwed the pooch with Niger, a country rich in oil, uranium, mineral resources. They've kicked out the French military, and they basically hamstrung the U.S. military, said, get the fuck out, but they still have 1,000 soldiers living there. Why? Running out of food, running out of water, running out of medical care. This is our government. Why would your kids want to go and join the service, join the military, protect this country? Because you're not protecting the country. What you're protecting is the military-industrial complex's grasp on every country, and the war hawk, war chicken politicians and their desire to continue to use the military to bully other countries. You know, they pissed off Niger. Niger's kicked the U.S. out. And I just went over, they're pissing off Japan. Why would you keep doing that? Well, they're doing it. They're going to continue to do it, folks. They truly are. What a world. I mean, just what a day. And by the way, there are also U.S. soldiers being detained in Russia. That's right. Well, we want to call Putin a murderer? Well, he hasn't killed the U.S. soldiers. They're just being detained. All right, Moscow, Russia. Here we go. What are we talking about? U.S. soldier detained in Russia on suspicion of theft. Staff sergeant, unidentified, detained in South Korea, traveled to Russia. Whoops. Why would you do that? Last time someone was in Russia, it was what was that LGB type women's basketball player who decided to smuggle or try to take marijuana into Russia. They arrested her dumbass. And then to get her free, oh, this is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So the U.S. government couldn't give a shit about over 1,000 U.S. soldiers, trained soldiers, value to the government, value to the military, value to us, the American people. They're us. Those are our sons and daughters. Fuck them in Niger. But they'll trade one stupid, and I mean stupid, women's basketball player. They traded her for a terrorist, a murderous, terrorist, lecherous piece of shit. That's what they traded to Russia. Right? We're supposed to believe he was a murderous, traitorous, terrorist piece of shit. But they let him out for one very poor basketball player. By poor, I mean skill level, entertainment value. So now we have Russia with at least one U.S. soldier. We have Niger with at least 1,000 U.S. soldiers. What is Biden doing for our servicemen trapped around the world? Not a fucking thing as far as I can tell. Not a fucking thing. It's just unbelievable. This country is in turmoil, folks. It doesn't know what way to go. Even our judicial system, our courts, state and local, as well as federal, they don't know whether they're coming or going. You'll get one ruling in one state that seems to make sense. You'll get another ruling in another state that makes absolutely no sense. How can the law be so unclear that in two separate areas of the country, you get diametrically opposed judicial decisions? Well, here's an interesting bit of news. Today, it was announced by 13 federal judges that they will boycott hiring any law clerks that come out of Columbia University. They're now boycotting not just students, but schools. I don't think that that's a bad thing at all. But I'm surprised it's only 13 federal judges. It should be all of them saying, we don't want law clerks from any law school that allows this type of hatred and violence to exist as part of their collegiate culture. Because if it's part of the collegiate culture, it's part of their educational culture. Right? The pro-Palestinians, I call them terrorists, right? They think they're here protesting for Palestine. The problem is not the United States. The problem you guys have is Israel. Get back on a boat or fly back over to Palestine in your own country that you love so much and go to fight against Israel. Leave us the hell out of it. Well, I tell you what, these immigrants everywhere are a problem. In Ireland, and I talked about Ireland just last night, it's like, Ireland had its own internal battle war between Protestants and Catholics, a religious war, a holy war. And they fought each other tooth and nail, and they had guns and bombs and the ability to blow up the other people. Well, I think they probably have something that's going to unite them. In Dublin, Ireland, folks, there was a huge protest against mass immigration, right? The people are screaming that the ruling party, the party in charge of politics in Ireland, are a bunch of traitors. Do you see how close we're getting? Ireland, they're calling their leaders traitors. I call Biden a traitor, but if you look at America as a whole, what's their attitude towards the president, towards Congress, towards the Supreme Court? It's not really great. Right? It's not great at all. Other countries don't like our government. Our government doesn't even like our own military, abandoning them around the world. Afghanistan, Niger, etc. This is where we're at. It is hit the fan. Hit the fan. And it's not going to get better. Okay. I just feel like we live in bizarro land. Bizarro land. Let me give you a massive example. In St. Louis, 3 years after receiving the Jim Jones juice, a beloved member of the community has died. Little Joe, folks, a gorilla, was given Jim Jones juice, and 3 years later has died of a heart attack. Bizarro world. Why are they giving a gorilla the Jim Jones juice? Really, folks, really. I think gorillas tend to have either a huge 3-inch thick piece of plexiglass between themselves and the humans. The gorillas probably don't stand 6 feet or closer to human beings anyways. In other words, they were social distancing already. But they felt the need to give the beloved gorilla, Little Joe, the Jim Jones juice. What a great experiment. They've now killed a fucking gorilla. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Where do we go? Where do we go next? What are they going to do? Are we going to invite aliens to come down from space and go, hey, you can't do any more cattle mutilations or human abductions until you guys get the Jim Jones juice? Crazy shit. Crazy. The CIA director, Bill Burns, guaranteed the Hamas terrorists over in Gaza, if you do a ceasefire, right, we'll cut aid to Israel. If I'm reading the story correctly, that's what they've done. In order to try and pacify the fucking terrorists, they said, hey, we're going to stop giving money to your enemy if you guys do a ceasefire. The Biden administration has hung out American soldiers around the world. He has now also failed to mention in this deal he did with Hamas. You don't negotiate with terrorists. This deal he did with Hamas, he forgot to mention the hostages. What act of good faith on the part of terrorists did they guarantee? Nothing about hostages, as if you could trust a fucking terrorist to be good to their word anyways. Crazy. I mean, the meme jokes are so applicable. But it's also, I mean, okay, here's the meme joke. And this was actually sent to me by Chin Music just a moment ago. But it's completely applicable. It's a meme and it shows General Milli Vanilli. That's right, lipstick Vanilli Milli. The fishnet stockings General Milli Vanilli. Right, former Joint Chiefs of Staff. He is now in a meme making fun of him and Biden as if he were Sun Tzu. Well, he's Sun Milli. He says, rather than attack your enemy, surprise him by retreating and leaving all your equipment. That's the world we're in now. That makes no sense. You're negotiating with terrorists. But you're not actually demanding anything from them at all, except maybe they'll be good to their word and stop murdering the shit out of people. But I think it's important to understand. It's important to understand that all the terrorists want is to stop being shot, stop being bombed, stop being killed until they can regroup, recruit new members, rearm themselves, retrain themselves, and put themselves in a position to start attacking and killing people again. It's incredible to me. Anyways, Chin Music, thank you for the great memes. Both of those on the first one. It is now going to be your guys' turn here on the Prepared Mind channel. That's right. It is time for the Inner Circle on Monday. What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? I know Uman has got some stuff. So let's see what Mr. Uman has. Let's see what you guys want to talk about, and we will start. And first, some words from our troublemakers last night. Oh, is someone going to take responsibility for trying to poison me with alcohol? All right. What? Chin Music says, Uman, did Johnny wake up feeling rotten? Yes, I woke up rotten Johnny. And it's still just a little bit cloudy. Cloudy with a chance of fucking meatballs between my ears. Yeah, it was a rough night, but a good night. You guys, hey, look. Spreading the word about prepping and what is going on in the world and getting people ready for the violence that's coming, the catastrophes, the chaos, everything. All right, I'll do what I have to, even if it means getting plastered on Sunday nights to start my work week off. Yes, thank you very much, Chin Music. Mr. Uman, do we have more kind words for John? Yes. Jesus Christ. Yankee says, you don't look too worse for wear, John. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you think I look great. I mean, I don't know what you expected. Did you expect me to show up with a bunch of puke on my chin? Or like a cast or a black eye because I fell down the ladder in the bunker? I don't know, man. I am worse for wear, but I'm pleased to be alive and I'm honored to be with you guys. Yes, we'll just, my articulate poetic speech isn't quite back up to snuff, but yeah, I'm still here. Do we have more coming from the yes, we do. Badass Diving Frog checks in and he says, hey, John, how about a nice 5-mile company run to get back in condition? I remember doing those, and we had them on Monday mornings. It was, hey, we got a PFT, a physical fitness test, or we're just going to go do a 5-mile run. And everyone's like, man, we had a rough weekend, Sarge, no, Gunny, no. And out you go. And I tell you what, it didn't matter how you felt, you did it. It didn't matter if you were running and puking, it got done. Get back in condition. I think whether or not I drank last night, a 5-mile run right now is right out. Not going to happen. Thank you, Badass Diving Frog. I'm glad you're with me. You're here. You're good. You're all good. Okay, Mr. Uman, who else wants to pick on me? I'll take it. Oh, Uman says, what hostages? Does anyone believe there are any left alive at this point? Are we discussing Niger? Are we discussing Russia? I can't read your lips. Your lips are way too
We're discussing Israel and Hamas.
Oh, those hostages. The ones that the United States government didn't even bother to negotiate for.
Right. The hostages haven't come up in any of these negotiations, so I'm pretty sure there aren't any hostages left to trade for.
Well, I know that the people, the families, the real human beings would like their family members back. They want some closure. They want to know if they're not alive, can we have their bodies back? Can we, bury them, have a funeral, right, have some closure? Now, the thing is
I completely agree with that. I mean, they deserve that. But every time any of these negotiations have gotten to the point of hostages, Hamas killed it, and it all fell apart. So I don't think that they have any left to trade.
Now, the International Criminal Court, Uman, has decided that Benjamin Netanyahu is a criminal, war criminal. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, are criminals and committed war crimes. And the United States has been giving them money, have they not?
Yep.
So if the United States is giving Israel money and Israel is full of war criminals, is Washington, D.C. and Joe Biden specifically, aren't they an accessory to the crime?
Sure they are. I mean, my problem is we're financing both sides of this war.
I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy of the International Criminal Court.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's the hypocrisy of the governments altogether. You know, I mean, they got themselves stuck real good between a rock and a hard place, right? Because, you got half the liberals protesting for Hamas, and then the other half, you got the Jewish liberals all on that side, and they all want him to pick a side. And either way, he splits his base tremendously.
Yeah. They put themselves in the position trying to make everyone happy, and they've made nobody happy.
Yep.
And this idea that
everyone and you will please no one.
Right, correct. So you should stand for what's right or not stand at all, in my opinion. The United States, if it wants to be fair in this, should say, look, we'll be the and see, I don't think they can do it. I remember when Reagan was working with Israel and Yasser Arafat of the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, right? That guy. They would meet in Camp David, and the United States was neutral.
Yeah, like an arbitrator.
Correct. But today, yeah, Biden is giving money to both sides, trying to please everyone.
Yep.
And pleasing no one. They can't act as a neutral arbitrator, but they've come in and said, okay, we'll stop funding that side if you guys stop trying to fight back. And as far as I'm concerned, Hamas hasn't been fighting back. They've been running for their fucking lives and getting the shit blown out of them by the IDF.
Well, who kicked who in the balls? That started this whole thing, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, I've gotten into these arguments, and it's always about, oh, well, you don't know the whole history of it. I said, yeah, pick any point in time, and you could find a reason why one side or the other is the bad guy.
Right, correct. I agree with you.
So this last action was set off by Hamas on October 7th, and now they're saying, oh, you're fighting back too hard. It's disproportionate. Well, you know what? Fuck you. You come into my yard, and you kill my kids, and then I kill your family, and you beg me to stop killing the rest of your family. I'm sorry, if there's been a history of this back and forth stuff, I'm not going to give you the opportunity to have that shot again.
What cracks me up is so
you can take Israel and Palestine names out of it and just look at the situation and the events.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do if it was you who got kicked in the nuts like that?
And you had the ability to kick the ever-loving shit out of them, right?
Yeah, to assure it never happened again.
Why hasn't the International Criminal Court said that Hamas commits war crimes and atrocities? I mean, we have video from Hamas themselves committing some awful atrocities.
Yes, we do.
Is it because they're not really a country? But I thought they were a country.
No, it's just a movement. It's just a what did they call BLM?
Just an idea.
Just an idea, yeah. Whatever it was.
Antifa is just an idea.
Yeah, that's
what Biden said of them. They're just an idea. So they're not going to prosecute them.
Yeah, it's all messed up, And at the end of the day, we should just stop funding it all, stop supplying it all, stop supporting it all, and let them sort it out for themselves.
Yeah, I think the International Criminal Court should just shut the fuck up because they're hypocrites.
Yeah, and if David wants to kick Goliath in the balls, then let him fight Goliath.
Wow. Unbelievable, dude.
Anyway, we got a whole bunch of questions here, so I will
Oh, we
pop
do?
off and we could keep moving along.
Okay, let's keep moving along. Let's do it. Let's do it, Mr. Uman. Who's up next? What hostages? Right. Anyways, I think we covered that. Chin Music says, John, any word on the amount of the bounty asking for a friend? No, there's no word on the bounty, Chin. But I'm sure it exists. I'm sure it exists. I don't think they're going to advertise in the local, what do they call the newspapers? The Fickle Nickel. They're not going to put that out in America. But I'm sure Wagner, the private military organization in Russia, has probably got they got a privateer's license, a letter of marque and reprisal from Putin to go after Zelensky. Wouldn't surprise me at this point. Wouldn't surprise me. Okay, Mr. Uman, who's next? Thank you, Chen. It is Who's Your Life? He says, thanked a Vietnam vet in Lowe's parking lot. He said, thank you, and he's ready to do it again, but too old. I said, you can still shoot straight. He said, goddamn right I can. Folks, they're out there. They truly are. Americans are waking up. Now, to complement Who's Your Life's comment/anecdotal story about a Vietnam vet, today, Democrat Representative moron Maxine Mad Max Waters, she threw out her conspiracy theory that violent Trump supporters are, quote, training up in the hills somewhere. Yeah, she thinks that we're training for it. We're already trained. This old Vietnam vet, he can still shoot straight. I can still shoot straight. Uman can shoot straight. Right? That the training isn't the problem. The problem is, have we been pushed far enough? And it's interesting that Democrats are worried about right-wing terrorists when they completely fucking ignore the terrorism in this country that's real, that is violent, that is murderous. Unbelievable. Thank you, Who's Your Life. I'm glad you thanked a vet, and I'm glad he gave you his personal opinion and perspective. Mr. Uman, next is Kapow, name redacted. He said, people who watch TV and send their kids to government schools make an endless supply of cannon fodder. Okay, back to the Cinco de Mayo party, not the one you guys threw me, but the one before that, which was, by all comparison, tame compared to what you guys did to me last night. Was sitting at a table with conservative men talking about our kids. And one guy sitting at the table says, you know, I raised my son his entire life to be a thinking, intelligent person. Very conservative. He went to college, 4 years, is now a communist. It is very common, folks, no matter how well you raise them, that the schools will get inside their fucking heads with all of their bullshit. And yeah, look, you either be free and an American or you be cannon fodder or pharma fodder or, right, butt pirate fodder. Take your pick down any avenue set up by the government and the social, political, technological, right, computers world, all of these other worlds right now in front of us. They're full of nothing but a bunch of vagrants who want to victimize everyone that is turned loose. So yeah, government schools, dumb down your kids, make them morons, indoctrinate them, and make them cannon fodder for whatever social/political bullshit comes their way. For example, all those kids running around. Oh, I don't know what I'm protesting, but man, I'm here. I'm here to support it. Uman says, luckily my boys are thick-headed enough that it didn't get through. Now, again, number one, awesome job, Uman. Number two, right? The rest of us parents out here, we've done our best. Some kids make it, some kids don't. It's like, is IQ the problem? Or is it their desire, as you just pointed out, Mr. Uman, to resist the propaganda, to resist the indoctrination, to refuse by being brave and standing up to it versus cowering and taking a fucking knee? Take a knee in front of BLM, they'll smash you across the head. Same with Antifa. Take a knee in front of the LGBT crowd, they'll smash you across the head with their dicks. You can't get away with what they're doing and not destroy a country. But that's precisely what they want to do. Very good point. Very interesting topic. We're going to be talking more about that in the future as well. All right. Where do we want to go next, Mr. Uman? Let's get into it. Name redacted checks in and says Cuban, Brazilian, and Venezuelans know because they escaped from it. Sadly, I mean, I'll tell you about the Cubans. Yeah, I haven't met a Cuban yet who wasn't happy to be here, proud to be working, and they had pride in themselves and their ability to work for themselves. And they know that if they work for money, they got to pay their fucking taxes, but they get to keep something. In a communist country, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. No, you won't. So Cuba, no problem with Cubans. Brazilians, love Brazilians. Got plenty of them working with and around and for me. Venezuelans, yeah. Venezuela has thrown America all of its criminals. That's the Venezuelans we're getting here. And now I would be pleased to meet a Venezuelan who said he's here, he's thankful, he's grateful, and he works and isn't on the Biden welfare system. Sadly, those are the Venezuelans I keep hearing about that are murdering people, robbing people, raping women and children. Those are the Venezuelans I keep hearing about. I wish it wasn't so, but it is. Venezuela has said, fuck it, take our criminals. Enjoy, America. We hate you. Folks, Venezuela does hate us. They hate the country and they hate me and you, and they're turning their scum loose on us. But don't worry. I told the Cubans that the Venezuelans taste like chicken and pulled pork. You just got to cook it right. It's secrets in the sauce. And no, they're not really cannibals, folks. But it's a good joke. And they actually have sense of fucking humor, even coming from this white guy. All right, Mr. Uman, who be next? Badass Diving Frog says, leftist. And you want to know why tigers eat their young? Yeah, tigers eat their young. Maybe they know when that they, as tigers do that, eat their own young, that there's a problem with the young. There's a problem with the system. Now, in cultures around the world, especially Western cultures, America, Europe, even Russia, and even Japan, the people who live in those countries are not reproducing. We're not even creating the young. And humans don't eat their young like tigers do. But we were like, hey, why should I make kids in this fucked up place? Because I can't support them. Right? The government gives you a tax credit or rebate, but you still, kid cost way more than what the government says. We'll give you a little tax break. Everything is so punitive in Japan, in Europe, in America, that young people are like, why bother? I can't afford it. And why would I bring children into this system that is that fucked up? It is another indication, I have to tell all of you, that there is something so wrong and corrupt that people, even if they don't admit it, even if they don't openly acknowledge it, they know there's something wrong and they shouldn't be having children. So the government's like, oh, you guys don't want to have children? We'll just import criminals, rapists, drug dealers, sex traffickers. We'll just bring them in by the millions. It'll be fine. Oh, and be sure and bring in lots of jihadi types so that they can create all kinds of children. They know the game, folks. Breed, and outpopulate another culture, another country, and then take it over using the election system, and then throw out the Constitution, bring in their Sharia law and bullshit. We're going to have a civil war. We're going to have a social war. We're going to have a partisan war, and probably a lot worse. Anyways, thank you. Hey, look, I'm just the messenger. I'm just talking about what I see and what you guys report to me as well. And I do not wish and hope for this shit, but it's happening, like it or not. Like it or not. Even when, like I said, a Cuban shows up here, he's been here 25 years. He goes, what the fuck are people thinking? Can't they see what's going on? I said, look, they don't understand that the moment you have a communist government in charge, they just start murdering their own people. The guy's like, I know, I don't fucking get it. We would rather, this guy, folks, listen. He stood there with his cousin talking to me. He says, I had 6 other family members from Cuba drown. They drowned themselves in an effort to come to America. That's how bad they want to escape communism. Raul Castro is still in charge. And when I said Raul, you should have saw the look on this guy's fucking face. He folks, what he would do to Raul if he could get his hands on him, I can't even say the words because the channel would be canceled. Right. Okay, Mr. Uman. Where are we going? We got Who's Your Life? He says, John, are all anarchists Marxist, or can't an anarchist be anti-government, whether Democrat or conservative? Can't they be libertarian and believe in less government and more freedom? First off, it's like the left-right paradigm trying to say that way over on the right is the radical right-wing Republicans. And way over on the left is the radical socialist Democrats. They're not on separate ends of the spectrum, folks. The Republican Rhino Party is way over here on the left with the fucking Democrats. They're not concerned with freedom. They're concerned with government spending. They're over here and they're just arguing about how much to spend and how many of your liberties to try and take and how bad to fuck us over. And the Republicans are like, look, we're really good here. And the Democrats are like, no, we're really good. No, they're all fucked up. Way on the other side are libertarians. You could call them conservatives, if you will, but libertarians. And they're not necessarily anarchist. Relative to communists and socialists, yes. But basically, they're like minimum government. Now, anarchy is no government. In order for anarchy to exist, no government in place. The people have to behave on their own. They have to have rules established on their own. But as without a court, say, how would two people in an argument, a legal argument over, say, property ownership, how would they settle their dispute if they couldn't come to that conclusion themselves? Well, that's what the court is supposed to do, is help you figure those things out without killing each other. Now, so in an anarchist movement, you have to kill each other, right? So you've got to have, this is the problem. This really is. But yeah, a libertarian wants far less, the minimum amount of government, minimum. Now, the term anarcho-Marxist, they are not anarchists, folks. They are totalitarian, authoritarian, murderous fucking thugs. That's what an anarcho-Marxist is. But John, you just said anarchy, no government. How can that go with authoritarian and totalitarian? Basically, 100% pro-government as God can do whatever the fuck it wants. The purpose behind the anarcho-Marxist movement is to destroy an existing government, to create a void, no government. The purpose behind that is to create no government so that a bunch of totalitarian, authoritarian, big government, communist Marxists can take over. That's what occurred in the Soviet Union with their Bolshevik revolution. They had anarchy, bombs, murders, destruction, wiping shit out. They created an anarchy, a void, a chasm, no government in place, so that the communist government could come in and take control of the military and take control of the bureaucracy and the administration of Russian government. And what did they do shortly thereafter? Well, the communist government killed off the fucking Bolsheviks and all of the anarchists, because there is no such thing as an existing system under anarcho-Marxism, because anarchy is no government, Marxism is all government. They're contradictory terms, but it is a fucking tool. Anarcho-Marxists are tools. And that's what Antifa is. That's what BLM is. That's what the LGBTQ movement is about. It's about creating chaos and a void so that, well, I mean, okay, the fruitcakes, folks, the LGBT fruitcakes, they want social anarchy. You can't tell us what is right and wrong. We all get to decide for ourselves. So they want to destroy social norms so that government can come in and go, oh, we'll tell you what to think. You will send your kid to school and have a drag queen sit on his face. And your daughters will go cut their tits off and start taking testosterone. Right? They want chaos. That's the point of the anarchist, is to create chaos so that government, a very strong government, can then come in, take over 100% control, and fuck us all. All right. Thank you, Who's Your Life, for that. Less government, more freedom. That's true libertarianism. Not liberalism, but libertarianism. Mr. Uman, we've got a great crowd here today. A lot of stuff. And Uman says, I noticed coverage of protesters getting arrested has fallen out of the top rotation in the mainstream media. And this is Uman's thought. He says, perhaps they're downplaying it to keep future protesters from getting scared of arrest, of consequences, and not coming out and rioting when they're needed. I think that's also why we don't see much about the antifags getting sentenced and jailed for Summer of Love parties. Well, that's just it. In 2020, they were allowed to get away with everything. Were they not? Because it was fine. Burn Seattle, burn Portland, burn Chicago, burn Kenosha, burn everywhere we can. Burn it, burn it, burn it, burn, loot, murder, BLM. To make Trump look bad. To make it look like Trump's America was terrible, when in fact it was Democrat governors and Democrat mayors that would not have their police properly, fully arrest, then the DA charge, and then the court convict these pieces of shit. Follow me, camera guy? Right. But with Biden, you and me, Americans, are pissed off at all of these college protest cocksuckers. And whether or not they're being arrested and actually prosecuted and thrown in jail doesn't matter. It's making Biden look bad. And so that's why they're taking it out of the news. That's my take on it. It's my take on it, because I don't think they're being charged the way they should. But even if they were, right, they'll have to do something pretty slick. Summer of Love, I think they will turn it up. They just need something to properly anger the kids. I don't think Americans truly have had any sympathy for the Palestinian assholes. In fact, they've shown us what a bunch of assholes they truly are, just like Antifa did, but they all stood behind the skirts of St. George Floyd and claimed that martyr as their own in 2020. Well, I don't think the anti-fag, I like that, by the way, and these other groups, they really haven't gotten behind the Palestinian martyrs. But yeah, I think there's a lot of, they're not getting the social acceptance. They're not getting the jazz, the thrill. And the police are not at this time allowing themselves to be attacked and assaulted with bricks, rocks, frozen bottles of water. They're not being hit with fireworks and explosives. They're not having their eyes shot out with lasers. They're not having Molotov cocktails thrown at them at these colleges. That was going on in 2020, folks. If you don't recall, they were trying to burn down courthouses and police stations and police cars. And they were excited and they were getting away with it. They have just begun on college campuses, just begun. and they're getting shut down pretty good. So yeah, they don't want to televise that. And already what they've done is making people go, you know what, fuck you, Biden. So the consequences, right? There's a political consequence, and they're not liking it. So yeah, they're going to take it out of the news. They're going to have to rebrand it. Anyways, folks, we've gone an hour already. Where did that go? Cyber Hana, let's do you one more last little comment here. So quietly, Amazon Fresh stores are closing. Why? Because the artificial intelligence who tracked you while you shopped so you didn't have to check out turned out to be fake artificial intelligence. It's India people watching via cameras. Yeah, it's they're losing money. Funny how you can lose money. We can all lose money, but these businesses don't like it. They'll just close their fucking stores. But you and I will have to continue to pay our taxes. Don't you worry about that. Thank you, Cyber Hana. Thank you to all. Folks, chance favors. The prepared mind is yours. Wake up, get prepared, help others, share internet address. Subscribe if you're not already. Thumbs up just to make sure. And folks, Semper Fi.